Hi everyone, welcome back. And today we have the most awaited guest of all time with us, April
Oh,
Schuppel,
stop. Oh, no.
the senior developer advocate at Appian Corporation. So, April, I think if I introduce you, that won't be fair to you. So, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is April Schuppel. I'm a senior developer advocate at Appian. How did I get there? Well, all my life I wanted to be a math teacher. That's that was kind of the dream. Or at one point it was music teacher as well. But I've always kind of uh, been drawn towards teaching and growing up I always like was tutoring other people and I was a teaching assistant and a tutor in college, but you know as an 18-year-old you don't really know what you want to do, and a lot of my math teachers had said it could be good to go out and get real world experience and then I would be able to relate more things back once I became a teacher, I suppose. So, I liked math. I was like, I guess I'll study engineering. I don't know what I want to do. So I studied industrial engineering, which, at least at my university, was all about the optimization of complex processes and systems, which, okay, that leads pretty well into BPM actually, but I didn't know what BPM was back then. But, I studied efficiency. Like, how do we make things more efficient? How do we make them better? How do we continuously improve? So that's always kind of been my interest area. And then, still 4 years after being 18, being 22, I still don't quite know what I want to do with my life. So I do what anyone does and become a consultant. What do I have to teach other people, I guess? But um, I got a really interesting opportunity, and my first job was actually with TCS, who I'm sure a lot of folks in India will know all about. And that was a really incredible opportunity for a few reasons. But to start, they brought like my training batch, which was like 24 people. Um, we had 3 months of training. The first month was at their like one of their U.S. headquarters in Ohio, and that month we were working on getting our Indian visas because they sent us to India for 2 months for
Wow,
training, and so that we could like really meet and get to know our like offshore teams, and it was such an incredible experience. And it really made a big difference working in the on-site offshore model when like I actually knew and had had lunch with like all of these people that I'm talking to. So I thought that was like a really incredible opportunity. Um, and I was working with a software product at the time called Maximo, which is a product by IBM that helps with enterprise asset management. So you can imagine, like at manufacturing plants, they have a lot of very expensive equipment that they need to do regular maintenance on, whether that's like preventative maintenance or emergency maintenance. So Maximo helps you keep track of when you need to do maintenance on your machines, what maintenance has been done, tracking like the inventory of your spare parts, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, so I was doing Maximo implementations at manufacturing sites around the world, which was also really cool that I got to like travel and see like the inner workings of how they manufacture different types of things in the back end. And it was great, but Maximo was like one of those products that's kind of like you get it and we can do some configurations, but overall it is what it is. And as a consultant, having to be in front of a client and say, oh, I can't quite do that, or what if we try it like this, and trying to like, that's never really a great feeling.
I understand.
So, but I still really liked. I loved being in front of people, and I loved doing like trainings and um, you know getting to just interact with people from like all over the world and different cultures. Like, it was a really amazing first job. And then after a bit, I wanted to try something new, and I went to another company where again I was a consultant working with a different software product that again was more configurations and not you can't make it do exactly what you want. It gets you like, 70% of the way there, but it leaves a lot to be desired. So, but this company, this was crucial for my trajectory to getting into Appian because I actually met my now boss at Appian on the softball team of that old company because he also used to work for that old company. So that was kind of how I got introduced to Appian. I first heard of it. I was like, what the heck is that? This was also like over 4 years ago, so we didn't have as much like content, and there wasn't community edition, so I couldn't really get my hands on it to be like,
I know
what
that
is
feeling.
this? Yeah. So, but it sounded really interesting from all their social media. It seemed like people liked working there, and everything. So I applied for this role called Community and App Market Lead, which, like, what does that even mean? And, but again, I was still on this journey of I'm not really sure what it is that I want, and I'm just gonna still be searching for it and be excited along the way and do the best job I can. But I knew that, it's not exactly what I want, but like, let me keep trying new things until I find it. So then I joined Appian, and within the first week of Academy, like the 2-week training, crash course where at the time, we built 3 apps in 2 weeks. I know it's evolved. I'm a little dated, right? Like, especially with Appian, new release every 3 months. Like, I'm so old at this point. I've been through a lot of releases. But anyway, in that first week, like, as I was building the first app along with the instructor in the class, like, my brain was just like, oh my god, the opportunity with this thing is incredible. Like, my experience with years of, like, engaging with other enterprise software that, like, couldn't be exactly what we wanted it to be, and then starting to just dip my toes into Appian and be like, wait a second. All of those times I was in front of the customer and I had to say, oh, we can't really do that. Like, if I was an Appian consultant, I wouldn't have had to say that. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to my role as a senior developer advocate, right? So, the live build challenge happened. Huge hit. Everyone was like so excited about it. And I think it was not just like the event itself and having like the behind the scenes interviews and all that, but I think it was also like the desire for something different because it had been over a year into the pandemic.
Right.
And, people wanted something to be like, oh, what? That's interesting. That's different. And people were watching and really excited. So that happened around the same time we released our new certification program. Also around the same time, we launched Appian Community Edition. Also around the same time, we opened up Community to anyone, where before you needed like a business email address and everything like that, right? So like, it was like this perfect convergence of all of these things that proved more of a developer focus, and like that we were really shifting to that. And so this is the time when I realized, like, oh, developer relations is like a space that is becoming increasingly popular. It's really important. Like, without developers, we would have no apps. Like, yeah, we have a great platform, but we still need people to use the platform to build these apps.
Correct.
So I along with Sanchita, like, we created like a pitch to like start this new job function that didn't exist at Appian. And also it was like, I want to do it. Like, let's start this new thing, and I want to be the first one and try and like make things happen. So, luckily enough, Appian is the type of place where, it is pretty common for people to, like, if they see something interesting in the company, to move around, or, they're very supportive of supporting, your career growth within Appian. And so I think, I'm a great testimonial to that, in the fact that I was able to like create the perfect job for myself. So now I'm the senior developer advocate. And what does that mean? I mean, my pithy way of saying that is kind of just like, I try to make sure Appian developers like to be Appian developers. I want to make sure that they're excited about being Appian developers. They're staying up to date on the product and realizing how new features can help them do even more, and also trying to like lift them up and create Appian celebrities and like, just show off the amazing people in our community. So that was a really long answer, but that's me. I'll stop there.
Perfect. So now we know April Schuppel. Okay, and while you were narrating uh, and telling us about you and your role, and I very clearly remember and recall that in that year, 2020, my boss, Akhilesh from Appsino, we created that application Decisions, and it was the time when he had to appear in the Appian world, and he flew from India, and there was a layover in Middle East, and when he landed there, he came to know that Appian world has been cancelled. So he was going there, but he had to cancel the next flight and had to come back to India. And
Yeah,
then
no.
everything became virtual, but we were just so excited because I myself created that application Decisions. So it was just one of the very important moments for me. And finally it came out second, and then we just had, kind of celebration in the office, and then we
Yeah.
had those I think we had a cash prize of $2,000 to $3,000, something in between.
I don't
And
remember it, but yeah.
yeah, we had that prize, and we all partied with that, and everybody got to keep some small share of it. So he was kind enough to give all
Yeah.
the developers and the supporting people a share of it, and everybody was just so excited that everybody was
Yeah.
very enthusiastic that I want to be a part of the next development team that's going for this hackathon thing.
Yeah. Aptino always had really great submissions to the hackathon, and like, I mean, I'd love to get your thoughts on, obviously we did not do the online hackathon this past year, and I would love to get your thoughts on like how we can revamp it to make it more exciting, because that was part of it. We had done it for a few years, and every year it was kind of like getting similar applications, and uh, yeah, like how can we make it more fun, like do a more engaging team building event. So if you have thoughts on that, or anyone in the comments, you know.
Definitely. For you
Yeah.
guys, it will be plenty of time, so you guys can think and comment down your suggestions below. But for that, I
Yeah.
might need some good brainstorming on it.
Yeah. My email's always open for
Definitely.
ideas.
And I also remember with your conversation that I have seen your replies on plenty of community threads, but those threads come up these days only because of spam. And recently, you must have experienced that community is now being bombarded with spam content, spam comments, where people just find different ways of spamming. Sometimes
Yeah.
they just keep everything clean and visible. Sometimes, as Mike told in his video, that they'll just color everything white so that nothing is visible, but then SEO can still index because the text
Yeah.
is there in the code. So,
Yeah.
what are your views on it, and what do you think can be the solution to it?
I would say like it's part of growing pains of a website, or like especially like something that is primarily a discussion forum. Because before you couldn't join community with a personal email address, right? So it was a lot easier to keep things locked down, and probably like had almost no spam just because of the nature of who is even allowed to join. So, I when we first opened up community to like personal email addresses and stuff, it was like a big influx, and we have put a lot of different like filtering and things in place, like using our community platform, because they do have different features that help you kind of fight that a little bit. I mean, but even Gmail, who is the best, right? Like Google has like the most money of anyone in the world,
Right.
and have been in this business doing it forever, and even then some spam email still gets through my inbox and like doesn't get caught by the spam filter, right? So I think it's going to be something that is like an unfortunate reality, but I think within the past year it has gotten better. What did you say? Like, I think it has gotten significantly better since like we first opened community to
Yep.
everyone.
Because earlier people used to create threads and
Yeah.
create not just one or two, but 10, 20 threads at once. But
Yeah.
now it's just like picking up any random post, replying on it. And then
Yeah.
people on community are very active to report that and letting people know how to report it just by
Right.
capturing a screenshot and replying to it.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I think,
No,
yes, it's
that's
got better.
yeah. So, and I think that's the other piece of it, right? Is because we can't be on top of everything. Like you and Stefan and Mike, you are like so much more in the discussion threads than probably anyone at Appian combined, just because we're also trying to work on other things to like help make the overall experience better. So
Definitely.
you're really like, the experts within the discussion forums who are actually seeing everything that's happening. I understand it's not a great experience when you do see a spam thing, and especially when it's like things that are completely unrelated. Like, I guess that's all spam, but like the especially funny ones are like the, black voodoo magic
Right.
whatever ones. Like, what are you hoping to get from posting here? I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe a voodoo expert.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think we should report those comments as much as possible and try to
Yeah.
keep the community clean as part of our active contribution on the
Yeah.
community, not just replying, but to
Exactly.
keep it clean. Okay, now talking about community, as community is expanding, we can now also see a new YouTube channel for Appian Community. And I luckily got a chance to be featured on the community channel and talk with the subscribers and the Appian people. But what was the thought process or motivation behind creating a community channel?
So, that's actually something that's been in the works for a while, and I cannot tell you how excited I am that it's actually here. And I think it's a number of things, but trying to remove friction to getting answers and providing people like more ways to quickly learn and get answers to things, as well as creating a space where we can have these discussions with developers and like hopefully we start getting into more technical discussions and deep dives into certain areas that maybe aren't as well suited for an Academy Online course, because it's more of like a theoretical discussion about how you should plan to build an enterprise application and like what things you should consider in your specific use case and everything like that. As well as doing fun things like we're going to be streaming the Appian Europe live build challenge to the YouTube channel, and hopefully like streaming everything to come there as well.
Right.
Um, so just kind of like first and foremost, like wanting to be another tool in our large toolbox that's like helping to support developers being successful. And then also like, you know, we had a lot of fun streaming the first live build challenge. Like, I think streaming is just like in general becoming a huge industry. So also having like a having a platform where we can also do more streams, and it's not always these like super scripted things. It's more like, hey, this is a real conversation between me and my
Impromptu.
friend Harshit, and we're talking about Appian stuff or whatever. But like, I think podcasting and live streams and all of this is like such a big space because people like hearing people just have authentic conversations, right? So also giving us a platform to like do that and stream things, and also like a bigger chance to like real time engage with the developer community, right? Like I was so happy with like how much the chat was blowing up. Like I really, going into it, I was just like, maybe one person will say hi. Like, I hope people talk in the chat. And we got like hundreds of messages on every stream. And you're part of that too, because you joined and you're like, hey, everyone. And everyone's like, Harshit. So, it provides like a new platform of opportunity to like support and then also engage with our developers. So I am super hype about it. Like I am like so happy. And again, if anyone has any ideas of things you'd like to see, like Harshit, you could throw my email in the description of this video when you put it up. But
Definitely.
like
On the
my
screen?
yeah, or like honestly, whatever you want. My
Yep.
virtual door is always open, and things take time to like build up and prioritize and like you know we have been talking about this YouTube channel for a very long time, but like hopefully you can tell in the quality of it that we've really been like planning and thinking about it and want to make sure it's like the best experience it can be. So yeah, but we're listening and we're trying to do things and always always thinking about it. But I'm so excited about the YouTube channel and like where we're going to take it and just like all the new kinds of content that we'll be able to provide. So make sure after you like and subscribe to this, you go over to the community YouTube channel and like and subscribe there.
Definitely. Link is in the comments and in the pinned comment as well as in the description.
Yeah.
Great. So with this community, I think I recently replicated the community homepage. If you
I
got a
saw
chance to
that.
see that, yep.
Yeah.
And Alex was also excited about it, and you guys were talking in the comments of one of the LinkedIn posts that
Yeah.
should we announce an official hashtag for it?
Yeah.
And then I was wondering, we're already doing the live build challenge. Why not to do the live clone challenge on
Yeah.
the community YouTube
No.
channel?
Yeah, no, I think that could be cool. Like, yeah, I think it is a great way to show off, like, back to what I was talking about in the beginning of like working with software products that are just kind of like, I can't really make a lot of like adjustments to this screen. Maybe I can move this widget on top of this widget or below this other widget, but like,
That's all.
that's it, right? And like, it really shows off the power of Sail that like,
Yes.
hey, it's, low code, but like really you can do anything. It's amazing. So anyway, yes, Alex and I are talking about it, and trying to figure out how we can make it more official. But I love the idea. I love that this is like a thing that you started, and I think back to what I was saying with like the online hackathon is like this could be a fresh new way to like challenge people to like, hey, try out some of our new features and check out like the new options for like widths of components that you can use to get like an even better screen. So yeah, I would really love to do something like that. We got to think of like a really good hashtag for it. Like, because you never want a hashtag to be too long,
Yes, yes.
But
makes
like,
sense.
how do we say what it is? But actually, I was going to tell you. So you like replicated what community is now, but I would be curious to see what like your ideal vision for what community is, because we are,
Okay.
working on a project now to like totally revamp community. Like this is in the works. I think I can say it because I said it in the product announcement webinar, the 22.3 one. But yeah, like we're doing a like replatforming project of community, and we're like really thinking diligently, and we have like our community team has grown a lot from the days where it was me and Sinchita. Now we're like 13 people across like all things, I think 13. But anyway, we have a dedicated community product manager now who is like taking in feedback and like helping to prioritize features. And we're thinking very diligently about like what the community experience should be and how it can be the best it can be. So, if anyone was interested, Harshit, you're interested in like not just doing a clone, but like coming up with a mock-up of what you think could be a really great community homepage, we'd be interested to see that as well.
So now I have a new idea to work on my sales skills.
Just giving you more work to do all the time.
Okay, and one last thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that I'm not sure if you know it or not, but it's getting more and more difficult for rest of the world to apply for a US visa because
Yeah.
they have been extending the dates and the number of days for which you'll have to
Yeah.
wait. And because the one person who is selected as a winner in this Appian Europe Live
Yeah.
challenge gets to appear in the US
Yep.
and gets to have a final reserved seat.
Yeah.
But just want to have your views that is there any possibility to keep this live build challenge a hybrid one so that people who cannot travel to US, not because their company doesn't want to take them, but
Yeah.
because the embassy has some restrictions, can
Yeah.
still make it or appear there?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And to me, I, I am afraid of hybrid events in the way that, you know, whenever there's people in the room and then some people like not in the room, the people not in the room almost always feel left out, right? Like, and how do you minimize that? And like, for example, for the Europe challenge, we're just streaming like what is happening, right? So like people can watch as if you're an audience member. But if it's like a participation thing, like I'm sure you've been in meetings where it's like a couple people are virtual and a couple people are like in a conference room together. Like when you're virtual, it's always like, all right, they're having this side conversation. I can't tell what's going on. They're all talking at the same time. I got to turn off my volume because it's like ridiculous, right? So, um,
I get it.
so like, I don't necessarily think it would be a good hybrid format, but I think that there are ways that we can have a really good virtual one and a really good like in-person one, um, and kind of like share the results or the highlights or the best parts with each other, if that makes sense. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yep. I mean, if in any ways, right? If we get to have more people participate, then that
Yeah.
would definitely keep up the excitement, and also people would be very interested to put themselves forward and to give it a
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then also even like providing more lead time too, right? Like that's another big thing, right? Because
Yep.
if well, I don't know how long are the average wait times these days? Is it like over a year?
500 days.
500? Oh my god.
Yes.
Wow. All right, well, start your visa for Live Build Challenge 2026. I don't know. Yeah, that's so. Yes, we need to do something. I agree, and I want like the our community of developers in India is like the largest constituent, right? So how can we make sure we're doing things there, and like we are growing our presence in India. Like we just started like our new office in
Chennai
India and have
office.
like
Yes.
yeah, like local employees and stuff. So um, you know, hopefully we just continue to grow. I mean, I spend all of my days either like trying to come up with things to do with developers, or like trying to say internally like, hey, let's do this thing, and like try and push for it. So I I'm doing my best. I'm gonna keep trying. We have like we do really care, and we're like growing and growing our like you know the amount of eyes that we have on community like internally, and like the interest in making sure that we're doing the best that we can. But you know there's just so much opportunity. Like it's like prioritizing, right? Like what is the MVP that we can do of this engagement, and then what's the next sprint? How do we keep growing? How do we keep growing, right? Um, yeah. I mean, you're asking me questions, Harshit, that I ask myself all the time. So, um, yeah,
A suggestion box.
yeah.
People
Well,
to
my
just
right now
suggest.
my email inbox is a suggestion box. So,
Yeah.
but maybe yeah, we need to get some official one on community. Um, I don't know what else. Okay, so you're asking me all these hard questions. I feel like I should get to ask you some. Like, you know, what is your dream? What's your vision for the perfect state of things? See, it's hard.
That's a difficult and a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, in what perspective?
I mean, um, well, I guess like if we're gonna continue growing like some sort of challenges hackathon kind of thing, like uh what do you think would be like the best format or structure for that?
I mean, the traditional format of the challenges and stuff was like you organize six different challenges in six different geographies, and
Mm-hmm.
then the winner of all these six gets to appear in the
Yeah.
main stage.
Yeah. I think that's definitely my vision. I agree with that. It's like I think well, I recorded a video about expanding the challenges program that should be
Wow.
coming out soon.
Life building your
To just kind
talents.
of like talk about it and like I agree with you like the way you know um like because the Appian World one should be like the World Cup, right? And then we have all these like you know regional like qualifying matches that
Hmm.
like lead up the excitement to it. But then there's people who love the World Cup, but then there's also like the esports side of it of like, oh, maybe I can't play soccer, but I love playing FIFA, and I'm gonna
Yep.
crush you at FIFA, like the video game, right? So then there's like another circuit that's like the video game version or like the online version, versus like
Hmm.
the in-person matches. That's kind of how I've been thinking about it. Is like, it's all like the same brand. It's all like FIFA soccer, but there's like the professionals who are doing it in front of an audience and like sweating because they're like trying to do a really impressive thing in a really short amount of time. And then there's the people at home who can keep practicing, and I can like do like 20 matches in a day just like sitting in my house, and I can be at home building 20 apps a day, trying to, I don't know.
But I get the idea.
Yeah.
And I'll also, so hopefully that video is already out when you guys will be watching this podcast that we're recording right now. So I'll
Yeah.
also add the link to that video in the description, so you can go check that out and see if you
Yeah.
have any potential challenges that you can take part into.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was so nice to interact with you, April,
It's
and
always a
definitely
pleasure.
so many insights about Appians and the community. And if you guys remember, we have a contest, an unofficial one, and it's basically on me, but I would also like to invite the viewers here that let's create a perfect community that we want,
Yep.
and we want it to look like maybe something that the product team can consider some of our designs on how the community should actually look like. Let's keep the community clean by keeping the spams out and be active. You might
Yeah.
be having some swags coming your way.
Yeah. I love it. Wow, what a great way to close. Make sure you're liking this video, subscribe, turn the bell on, all the YouTube things you say,